When people talk about Watch Dogs 1, almost every discussion stays locked inside Chicago. But one of the most overlooked pieces of the game is actually the Pawnee ctOS substation, a remote, rundown outpost that ends up revealing one of the biggest secrets about Blume's surveillance network. Most players treat Pawnee as a side area, a weird, half-forgotten town, covered in conspiracy posters and abandoned cabins. But if you take a closer look at what's happening in that substation, you start to realize something surprising. Pawnee is the only place in Watch Dogs 1 where ctOS behaves like it's watching you back. As if the system isn't just running scripts, but evaluating you as a threat in real time. The Pawnee ctOS server is filled with corrupted data clusters, glitched camera feeds, and scrambled digital files that don't match anything you see in the rest of the game. It's almost like this one substation is trying to hide a mistake, something the system doesn't want you to see. When Aiden breaks into the core, the surveillance logs don't look like normal ctOS reports. Instead, they're storing strange behavioral recordings and fragmented psychological notes about people living in the area, including data that ctOS has no reason to collect. These aren't just criminal profiles, they're patterns, tracking paranoia, mental health, emotional reactions, and what locals believe about Blume. Pawnee becomes the only place where ctOS is clearly gathering non-criminal predictive data, testing how people respond to fear, rumor, and manipulation. This is important because in the main story, ctOS is always sold as a system that improves efficiency, fights crime, and keeps cities safe. But Pawnee exposes a darker truth. ctOS is actually conducting social experiments. The game never outright states it, but the evidence is everywhere. Abnormal analytics inside the substation, strange behavior from NPCs, and the fact that Pawnee is isolated enough for Blume to run a test without oversight. This is why the area feels off. The system isn't just monitoring, it's testing reactions, nudging people, and studying how misinformation spreads in a small community. There's also a detail most players miss. Pawnee's ctOS is older and more unstable than the Chicago network. That means this location was likely one of the earliest testing grounds for the entire ctOS project. Before Blume perfected their citywide system, they tried it in a place where no one would question glitches, unexplained outages, or sudden shifts in public behavior. And that lines up with the weird, almost surreal encounters you find scattered around the outskirts. People talking about the machines, others complaining about hallucination like radio interference, and townsfolk who already distrust outsiders before you even interact with them. What makes this even more unsettling is that nothing Aiden does in Pawnee officially appears in Blume's public logs. It's as if the company deliberately scrubbed the site from their internal records, pretending this early experiment never happened. And that's the real story hiding there. Pawnee wasn't just a secondary area. It was ctOS's first sandbox, a place where Blume learned how to manipulate an entire population long before the world ever heard of smart surveillance. The Chicago network didn't succeed because Blume was brilliant.